Hi, I'm Kristen, and this is the Simple Handmade Everyday podcast where I talk about living a creative, intentional life. I like to chat about quilting, sometimes knitting, what I'm reading and watching, and a little bit about keeping a cozy, organized home. You can find me online in my blog, Simple Handmade Everyday, or on Instagram at Kristen Esser. I've got my cup of sparkling water in hand, so let's settle in for a chat. This is episode 34. Welcome back. Here we are. It's actually September now, so we're definitely transitioning into fall here in Southern California, which means that it's very, very hot. It seems like summer will never end. What happens every single year is we are surprised by how scorchingly hot it is, because I think end of August and early September are sometimes the hottest months in Southern California. And we forget that. So that while the rest of the world is like pulling out their boots and their scarves and their pumpkin spice lattes and showing, photographs of trees with their leaves turning, we are still sweltering here. But then we get a week where the temperatures are like in the mid to even high 70s. And we're just like, it's fall. We're so ready. Yay. And then the next week, there's a total heat wave. So it happens every year. We're smacked in the face with it. But that's what's happening now. But it is September. My high schooler is back in school and has been for a while. It's, kind of settling into that. My two college kids are still here. Will they ever go back to school? It is unknown at this point. No, actually, we will be moving them back to San Diego, both of them, next week. And so this is our last week with them. And Chloe and I have tickets to go see the Downton Abbey movie. And we had hoped to go get tea before that, but the only time to see it was like a 7 p.m. thing. So I don't know how we're going to squeeze the tea in. We'll just have to do it for lunch or something. We were hoping to squeeze in a museum trip, which we've been meaning to do the last couple weeks, but it just hasn't worked out. So we'll see. We want to go either to the Norton Simon Museum of Art, which is in Pasadena, or maybe the Getty in LA. So we'll see. We love going to those kind of, art museums. What else is going on? My high schooler just turned 17. And so last night we had a house full of teenage boys. He hasn't had any kind of like public celebration for years and years, but he asked for one this year. So I ordered a whole bunch of barbecue. And they ate that up, and then we took them over to an escape room. Have you guys done one of those? I haven't actually done one. I've only paid for one. And so they did a little escape room adventure and then came back here. And they just entertained themselves with video games and other kinds of games and cake and popcorn and M&Ms and had a great old time. So I don't know about you, but as much as I do enjoy celebrations and I enjoy marking things with celebrations, I am equally happy when the celebrations are over. I feel the same way about Christmas. I love what we call Christmas time. The whole month of December is probably my favorite part about Christmas. And then about a week later, after it's over, I am just as happy to pack it all up and put it away. So I enjoy the celebrations, but I also really enjoy, ordinary time. So that's kind of what's going on around here. What's going on in your part of the world? Oh, I forgot to mention, not drinking tea today because it is a Saturday afternoon. It is 5,000 degrees outside. I'm in the recording closet. Could not make myself drink hot tea, and I was too lazy to make iced tea. So Trader Joe's sparkling water, to me, is the best sparkling water. I think it's better than LaCroix. I like the grapefruit, and there's two kinds of orange flavors it's so subtle. If you think LaCroix is subtly flavored, try the Trader Joe's sparkling waters. But my son Jonah and I, we share these bottles of sparkling water every week, and I kind of consider it my little treat. So that's what I've got instead of tea. But I have to say, I cleaned out my tea cupboard this morning. I'm still on my decluttering kick, so I have a Lazy Susan that's got my herbs and spices, tea, and all my baking stuff. And I cleaned that out today, and it's so much better because before, as I spun it, it's in a corner of my kitchen, a lower cabinet, and every time I spun it, something would fall off of it and then it wouldn't spin. But I kind of decluttered my tea, and I am proud to say that my daughter, who's 21, has become such a tea drinker. when she's home during the day, she usually makes one mid-morning. She makes another cup mid-afternoon, and then she makes a cup at night while we're watching TV. So I love that she's become a tea drinker, and she really dug in on my Plum Deluxe teas. So I told you those are some loose leaf teas, very nice, but a little more flavored. It was like there's like a kitchen table blend, a reading nook blend, and one other one that I can't think of. And there's a light vanilla flavor to them. And she loves them, and she's been working on them all summer. So as I went through my tea cabinet, I was able to just pass some teas on to her that I am just not getting around to drinking, some herbal ones. And I was able to give her one of those little, you can buy these little paper tea bags. So if you don't have like a perfect tea maker from Teavana like that I have, you can just put tea in this little, it's a very thin paper bag, kind of like a coffee filter in a way, but thinner, and do your loose leaf tea that way. So I was able to pass some of that stuff on to her. So that's pretty fun. So I'm super happy that I've turned my daughter into a tea drinker. Fat Quarter Shop is a one-stop show for quilting fabrics and supplies for quilters around the world. They stock quilt shop quality fabrics, pre-cuts, quilt kits, patterns, and notions. And did you know that they now carry cross-stitch supplies? They just released the Quilt for a Cause Quilt Along for 2020. It's called Bloomtopia and features Summer Sweet fabric by Sherry and Chelsea. This sampler quilt combines unique and historical blocks in the vintage style. You can reserve your kit today at fatquartershop.com. Fat Quarter Shop carries all major brands like Moda, Riley Blake, Wyndham, Robert Kaufman, and Art Gallery with the largest supply of fat quarter bundles ever. Whatever fabric, pattern, or notion you're looking for, chances are they'll have it. Visit them at fatquartershop.com. I'll put a link in the show notes. So let's talk quilting. I've got a few fun things for you this time. So first of all, if you follow my blog or my Instagram stories, you may have seen that I've been talking about the Free Motion Quilting Academy that Holly Ann over at String and Story has launched. So Holly Ann and I are good friends, online friends. We've only met in real life one time, I guess. Man, that's crazy. But I am going to see her next month, and when she's coming to San Diego. And we did a blog hop. Was it 2 or 3 years ago now? Where maybe it's 3 years. That is just crazy. Where we worked our way through the book, The Ultimate Guide to Machine Quilting. It was a book co-written by Angela Walters and Krista Watson. And instead of just, taking a, how you buy those books and you think, oh, I'm going to do that, and then they just sit on the shelf, I was like, you know what? I'm going to literally work my way through this book. And so I asked a few friends to go through it, and we went through chapter by chapter and practiced the motifs during the week. And then when I had one I was happy with, then I basically practiced 10 or 15 minutes a day. And then by the end of the week, I kind of picked my best work and photographed it and wrote a blog post about what my experience was, the ups and the downs, and how, what was easy and what was really hard, what was I scared about. Well, Holly Ann had very little free motion experience at this time. And so she followed along, and she just took to it like a house on fire. You could not believe it. The progression during those 10 weeks was amazing. So much so that she fell in love with it. I remember asking the question to these other gals that were doing this with me, do you really think of yourself as a quilter? Like a quilter or a piecer? And she was like, oh, I'm such a piecer. I'm like, me too. Well, you know what? She's a quilter now. And by quilter, I mean doing the actual quilting part. Not long after that, she took this experience and she created an ebook and a class about getting over your fear of free motion quilting. Because so many people, myself included, I'm so afraid of ruining my quilt. And so I think her first book, I'm not even sure if it's still available. It might be. It was called From Anxious to Adventurous, which I think kind of, was how she was feeling about her own journey. Well, anyways, she has long-armed several quilts of mine, quilts that have been in magazines. She did my Winter Tales quilt. She did another one with that's going to be in American Patchwork and Quilting next month, I think. It's the one that I did with the Boro fabric. And she did a fabulous job. So anyways, the gal really knows what she's talking about here. So she has launched a class called Free Motion Quilting Academy, and it's only open until September, let me get the date right, 18th, through the end of the day, your time zone, September 18th. And it's an online class, kind of like a craftsy thing. So you buy it, you have it forever, you do it at your own pace. But she's done this before where she just has it open for a week or so that a bunch of people go through the class together. And she's got a private Facebook group for it so that you can share your, triumphs and struggles. And she's very much hands-on in the class. So she is a wonderful teacher, born teacher, and she just shows you how to do all the motifs, super encouraging. So anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know about that because it's not open very long. So Free Motion Quilting Academy, I will put a link in the show notes if you want to click over. You can it'll take you to a landing page that with some testimonials and women actually holding up their, I don't know if it's their final exam or whatever, their a piece of quilting that they're very proud of, and lots of kind words about that. So anyways, if you, if it's kind of a goal for you to learn how to free motion quilt, or we talked last time about, let's take these last 4 months of 2019 and finish strong. Like, let's revisit what we thought we were going to accomplish because there's still 4 months left. So if that was one of your ideas of things you wanted to do is get more comfortable with that, it might be the perfect thing for you. So what else? Oh, I know. My friend Minky did a trunk show and workshop at a local quilt guild, the Camarillo Quilters. And I went with her and kind of helped her set up and sat at the table and, helped sell things and helped a little bit with her presentation. And it was so fun. And she did so great. So, she's Korean, English not her first language, and she did this fantastic presentation in front of I don't know, I feel like I'm bad at big groups of numbers, but 250 people, all, obviously very kind quilters. So it was a good audience, but she was charming and funny and adorable. So that was really fun. And I'm so proud of her because I would be scared to death to do what she did. And English is my first language, and I do a lot of talking. I was talking to someone who said, I think I'm better talking by myself in my closet than I am in front of a huge group of people. But that did not, I just did not bother her at all. She just, just said yes. And I am a person that doesn't do that so easily. So that was really fun. And then she taught one of her sewing illustration workshops the next day. I wasn't able to go to that, but I hear that was great fun. So that was just I don't go to Quilt Guild meetings very often. And I kind of wish that I could work out a space in my life to do a quilt guild. This is a particularly good one. Camarillo, the town, has a big retirement village, big retirement community. So there's just a lot of women who have the time to quilt. So it's a big guild. It's beautifully run. They do a ton of charity work. And but it meets during the morning, and I just once a month, but I always think, that I need to work during that time. Now I could change my schedule, but I always feel a little nervous about doing that. I'm kind of a creature of routine. So, but it made me really realize I should get into, an in-person quilting community. I think it would be really good for me. I love the online community and all the flexibility it gives you, but there's just really no replacement for that face-to-face kind of contact. What else? Oh, okay. Here's another thing. I got a few things to talk about quilting-wise I'm kind of happy about. So have you seen the sneak peek for Quilting in the Rain? She has a new fabric line out. Now, you might remember I did my Irish chain quilt for a blog hop for her Loyal Heights line. And I gave that quilt to my best friend, and I was so happy with that. I've actually given away both quilts that I've sewn with her lines, which I was happy to do because the recipients were, very grateful. But on the other side I love those quilts. So this one I'm keeping. So she's got a new line called Madame Fleur. She designs for, I feel so insecure saying this, I think it's Lucien. And it's adorable. So I've got it sitting right here, and it's just beautiful. So it's got reds and pinks and some mustardy yellows, some beautiful greens, and some kind of taupey tans, and kind of a purple, kind of a dusky purple, and then some kind of off-white light fabrics here. Like her other lines, some of the prints have those little gold flecks in them. I've already picked out the red one that I want for the binding that's got these little gold polka dots on it. It's super cute. This line also has a toile, which I'm hoping I can use for the quilt back. I think I'm going to go for the pinkish red toile. So anyway, so I am sewing that I won't be able to show for a little while, but I think I've got an idea for it. I always get really nervous about these things, like I've told you guys, but I think I have an idea for the design I want to do, which is a design that I've done in the past, but I think it's kind of perfect for this fabric line. So that makes the whole process a little easier. So that is my next big project. As a matter of fact, my daughter and I spent a bunch of time today trying to figure out what was the right background fabric to go with this. So I had all my neutrals out there, and I think we've got that. And so I just need to probably pop on Fat Quarter Shop today and order a whole big bunch of background fabric. So Madame Fleur line, I'll put a picture in the show notes if you're curious about it. She's done some really cute sneak peeks, and it's very pretty and feminine, and every little, I'm flipping through it right now, every print is better than the next. And there's some reds and greens in the taupes, and I think that would be super pretty with linen. If I have time, I think I'm going to do kind of a Christmas cushion. I have this kind of a lumbar pillow from Joann's, and I kind of like to rotate through different Christmas cushions, so I'm excited about that. What else? I got my quilt back from the Long Armor from Sewing Blue. She sent me, I sent the quilt and she got it back so fast. And this is I don't know what it's called. It was a Bonnie Hunter scrappy thing. Someone asked if it was called something like Scrap Happy, and I don't think it was, but it's a perfect name for it. So now that's what I'm going to call it. But don't go looking that up thinking it's going to be the same. It's kind of a little slightly more complicated Irish chain quilt that is just seriously scraps, like kitchen sink in there. And I backed it with Blossom fabric from Riley Blake's design, and that worked out really well. Did a paisley quilty motif on it, and so now I'm just in hand binding heaven. I've got a lot of handwork stuff right now. I've got that hand binding, which there's absolutely no rush on. I mean, literally that quilt is like 8 years in the making, so there's no rush there. As a matter of fact, I'd like to maybe wait. I guess I'm halfway. I should just finish it, but I'd like to wait till it cools down. And it's so fun to bind a quilt when you're cold, when you can have the quilt on your lap and you're not sweating. And the other handwork thing I'm doing is, I mentioned before, I'm doing this embroidery project with Orifloss, and I think I'm done. I ended up just doing 2 tea towels, 2 flour sack tea towels, because that's what I had. I would do a third if I had another one, but in fact, I don't really want to buy another dozen. These were ones I found at like a garage sale, and I did one in all black and one in all red, and they're really cute. The designs, as I've talked about before, are from Diary and Stitches. I'll be doing a blog post about that soon, but yeah, that was really fun. I really enjoy embroidery, and if you are like a little nervous about doing something like embroidery, it's just an outline. I feel like the satin stitch is really hard. So I'm not a great embroiderer. Everything I do is so accessible, so simple. So all it is a back stitch. It's just outlined. Both motifs. One has pears and a basket, and one of them is kind of like a kitchen shelf, and that's the one that's in red. So I kind of got a black work and a red work, and super cute, super simple. But that's the kind of embroidery that I do. I'm so tempted to try cross stitch because it seems really fun and meditative, but I'm just not really sure it's my style. So this kind of very simple embroidery on a tea towel is my style, and I have no problems with that. So that's been really fun. What else? I feel like there was something else. Oh, I know. For like forever, I've been talking about this quilt I was going to make with Minky's Someday fabric, and I completely abandoned that and started a different quilt with it. So I've got a Fat Quarter bundle, which is a super cute line, and I have broken out the Sunday Best Quilts, which is a book that I talked about a few episodes ago by Sherry McConnell and Corey Yoder, and I picked a pattern out of there, and it is called Sweet Confetti. And it's very simple, but it's very scrappy, but it's perfect to do with a fat quarter bundle. And it has quarter square triangles in it. And I have to say that I've never, other than hand piecing, I've never really made quarter square triangles before. It just hasn't come up for me. And I tried it one time and it came out really wonky. So I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. But so this is going to be my quilt to conquer quarter square triangles. As a matter of fact, this block, I don't know how I can show you what it looks like. Maybe I'll take a picture of the actual block I did, but it's quarter square triangles, and then you keep adding triangles onto it, and it turns into a rectangle, and you do 2 of them, and it turns into a square. But because of all of that, there's a lot of bias edges, and I've done a few practice blocks, and the first few did not come out to measurement, and it's going to have to, or I'm going to be cutting points off. So the last one I did came out much better. So I think I'm going to need to starch my fabric when I cut it and sew, and be really maybe not use steam. I just don't want my blocks to stretch out, and I think that's kind of what was happening. So now I'm excited. I'm excited about that quilt. So I'll be working on the Madame Fleur. I'll be working on the Sweet Confetti, and that just might, I don't know, that might take me through the end of the year. I do have, I think, 2 more quilts that just need to be quilted, and I think I will quilt myself. One of them is basted, so I can't even set it to a long armor if I wanted to. This Madame Fleur, I'm definitely sending to a long armor. If something's going to quilt market, I don't really want it quilted. I'm a piecer. But so I'm still a little addicted to quilting by check. But okay, so that is about it for what's going on in the quilting world, for me anyways. Let's spend the briefest of time talking about knitting. I'm still working on my dishcloths, and I got a lot of emails and DMs this last episode, and it was so fun. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. It means a lot to me to know that people are listening and getting something out of it. So a few people have mentioned that they would be interested in learning how to knit, maybe the dishcloth. So I'm gonna work on that. I can't really even wrap my brain around doing a video or something like that until my kids are off to college and the house is empty once again. As a matter of fact, I hope you couldn't hear it, but the garage door just closed and the last kid just went off to work. And the house is empty, it maybe has not been all summer. And I actually was trying to wait to start recording till everyone was out of the house. And I finally gave up. I'm like, I'm going in the closet. I'll see you guys later. Everyone's kind of finishing their last shifts at work and things like that. Anyways, that is a sidebar. Dishcloth. Later in the fall, I think I will try to do a video on how to knit the very most basic dishcloth. One thing I want to do is order some yarn from Knit Picks. They have a yarn called Dishy. What I usually use is sugar and cream cotton yarn, which is available at Joann's, Michael's, it's that kind of thing. And it is dirt cheap. It's like maybe $2.99, and you can get 2 dishcloths out of one little skein. But it's not that fun to knit with. One of the pleasures of knitting with wool is that it's springy and stretchy, and it just is very, from a tactile point of view, feels really nice. And that is not the case. And I don't want to put people off of knitting, because knitting with cotton yarn is not optimal. And so I was hoping that maybe the Dishy yarn is a little bit higher quality. And I haven't ordered some, but I will, and I'll let you know if that's kind of better. And maybe we'll do a little dishcloth knit along in the fall or winter, just for fun. What else? Let's move on to books. Oh my gosh, I was so excited that Louise Penny's next book in the Inspector Gamache series, called A Better Man, came out at the end of August. And I used to just wait for Christmas and let somebody give me that book. I'm too old for that. I just got it, and got the Kindle format and downloaded it and just obsessively read it over one weekend. And I loved it. I just love those books. If you are following along with the Inspector Gamache series, 2 books back, I think the book was called A Great Reckoning, something very big happened in their little world. And this book, if you skip the last one, which is called something, it has the word blind in it. That's all I can think of. Kingdom of the Blind. If you skipped that book and went right to this one, you would not miss a beat. As a matter of fact, I had to go back. I'm like, this book seems like it picks up right after A Great Reckoning. What was that last book about? So I actually went and checked it out. And it was just kind of a little sidebar, over a very short period of time. So this picks back up with the larger storyline that's been going on with this series. And it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So if you like those Louise Penny books, I think A Better Man would not disappoint. I'm also still listening to, I talked about this last episode, a book called Still Me by Jojo Moyes. And it is the third in the series from Me Before You, which I did not love, but was okay. I did not read Me After You. And this one's called Still Me. And it's just kind of a throwaway audio book that I usually listen to while I'm doing my decluttering and deep cleaning. And it's been delightful. I'm at about 90%. I've got an hour and a half left to listen to it. I'm just getting it on Libby, the audio book thing where you can check out library books. And it's not great literature or anything, but it's a very entertaining storyline. I'm pretty sure I know how it's going to end. It's kind of one of those, but still, for that kind of on-the-go listening, I've really enjoyed that. The other book, I'm embarrassed to tell you that I'm still reading because I read it at night before I go to sleep, which means I read about 1 page a night, and that's going to take me a long time to get through a book. And that is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I think I talked about this about 6 months ago, and I kind of lost my traction on it, but it's I went back to it because I have it on I have an iPad mini with a Kindle app, and it's the perfect thing to read before bed because it's backlit, and my book light is too bright and it keeps my husband awake, so he doesn't like it when I do that. So this little the reading a book on my iPad is the right thing. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to keep going with this book, and I'm about, halfway, and it's starting to finally get better. So I have this thing. I was telling my daughter the other day that I think any book that you read really, really slowly because you're reading it, for the few minutes before you go to sleep, you're never going to think it's great because it's hard to get the momentum going with it. So, usually, if this book really gets going, I'll stop just reading it before bed and I will start to read it during the day, and then I'll blow through it really fast. But yeah, it's hard to get some momentum going in that case. What's going on with TV shows? I haven't been to any movies, although super excited about the Downton Abbey movie. I will let you know how that was. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I think it's out in some places, but Thursday, I think it's the 20th, was the first time we could get tickets for around here. And I'll let you know if the storyline is anything more compelling than the fact that the Queen is coming for lunch, which is all I'm getting from the trailer. So I finished Grantchester. I think I told you about that last time. That's about the hunky Anglican priest. And I blew through seasons 3 and 4. If you know anything about the series, and you can tell by the picture when you log onto it that season 4 has a new hunky Anglican priest. But you know what? I thought I was going to be really loyal to Sydney Chambers, the original one. But you know what? I like the new one too. So that worked out really well. That was a really fun watch. That's on. I'm watching that on the PBS app. So I think you can watch the old episodes of Grantchester on Amazon Prime or Netflix. My husband and I are still working our way through the Star Trek Discovery, and we have roped my 2 older kids into it, Chloe and Shona, because my husband comes home for lunch every day. He works in town, and that is the better time for us to watch a TV show than at night because we always fall asleep. And so because they're not at college, they're around, so they'll sit down and watch it with us at lunch. And the last couple episodes, they're like, you know what? This is a really good show. So again, it's much darker than Next Generation, but I got to say that the writing is really good. The ideas are really good. And we're really enjoying that. We have, maybe about 7 more episodes, and then we'll let our CBS All Access subscription, we'll cancel that and go back to Hulu. My daughter keeps wanting to, every day she's like, do we have our Hulu subscription back? Because this was our idea, that we would cancel one subscription and get another one and kind of bounce around, because the way this subscription service thing is going now, Apple's got their own, and Disney has their own. I don't think we'll need that one, but it's going to be like cable TV all over again, where you have all these different packages. So we're going to kind of try to keep it to a minimum, but she really wants the Hulu back so that she can watch Bachelor in Paradise. So whatever, trash TV. What else is going on? Our little family show right now is called Kim's Convenience, about a little Korean grocery store in, I think it's in Vancouver. And that's been kind of our fun little family show. Again, it's kind of a throwaway, but we get a good chuckle before we go to bed from that show. So let's talk a little bit about homemaking. I am still totally boring in that I'm just obsessed with working my way through the house and decluttering. And I'm getting like really more intentional about the Fly Lady system, which I never got into completely. But I am now completely inspired by this YouTuber named Diane in Denmark, which I just get a kick out of. I love all things European, and the fact she talks a lot about living in Denmark, because she's actually Scottish, but she's lived in Europe for like the last 20 years. So I think she really likes living in Denmark, and so she talks a lot about that. So I get a kick out of that. But this week, the zone for Fly Lady was the kitchen. And it's kind of the last bastion of places where I have not decluttered for a little while. And part of it is that, the kitchen is one that in the past I've done. So it's not like it was, like the garage, which had kind of never been done. But yeah, that's been kind of fun to get through that. Like I said, I gave my daughter a bunch of tea, and I'm really trying to get into the 15 minutes a day and not worry about the fact that I didn't finish the whole kitchen this month. Because like this now it's the week's over. We're moving on. I don't even know what the next one is, but I'm trying to just go, you know what, if you just keep at this at 15 minutes a day, even 3 days a week, which is 45 minutes of either decluttering or deep cleaning, kind of depending on where you are, then once you wrap around the next month, there's hardly anything left to do. So so I did my Lazy Susan today. The one thing that I'm going to make people deal with tomorrow is we have this drawer that's just full of cords. It started out, I have this it's called a spice drawer. It's a really tiny, deep drawer that's there's a whole bunch of them to the left of my dishwasher. And so I put in, I had an extra set of earbuds and an extra phone charger, things like that. And so I thought, if you're in trouble and you've lost your charger, we've got a few extras in here. Well, clutter attracts clutter. And I went in there the other day, and you could hardly open the drawer because people have just put every spare cord in the house in there. So now the whole drawer is worthless because you just open up and you're just like, oh my God, I don't even know what's in here. So I'm taking that out tomorrow when people are around. I'm going to dump it out, and then I'm going to put the earbuds and a couple extra chargers and go, I don't know what these cords are, but if nobody claims them in the next 10 minutes, they're going in the, e-waste recycling that I'm getting rid of next week. And that's going to be a huge relief, because that is my problem with clutter, is the idea that when you start operating on the top 5 or 10% of the drawer, because you don't even know what's underneath it. That's exactly where we are in there. I kind of, reach in there to get a little adapter cord every once in a while as I'm pushing away the Ethernet cords. So that's going to be really, really nice. And then, if you just keep it up, it's just not hard to keep things that way. But so I don't know who's been cramming all those cords in there. It's like that idea where, have you heard this before? Like if you've got a chair in the hallway, and for years that chair is just decorative and it just sits there, but one day you set down some library books on it that you're going to deal with later, and then by the end of the day the chair is piled high with crap because now that has been identified as free game, and you can and so everyone just adds something to it. And that is the problem with clutter, is that clutter begets clutter. So what else? As we're going into fall, I'm thinking about making the transition decor-wise from summer to fall. I will, when it gets cooler, I'm going to change out my throw pillow covers on my couch. I've got these ones that are a little bit pretty neutral, but kind of an Indian block print kind of thing. I don't exactly know how to describe that, but I have some ones that are kind of similar colors. It's, off-white, gray, tan, pretty neutral, but I have some plaid ones. They're both sets are from Pottery Barn, and I like to put the plaid ones on for fall and winter. And I want to rewatch the classes that I got when I bought the Cozy Minimalist book last year. So it's been about a year now that I did the complete redo of our family room, and I promised that I would post pictures and do a blog post about it, and I never did because I did a terrible job of photographing it, and I just was like, this is going to help no one. But I still do really recommend that book, The Cozy Minimalist, which just is about keeping things not cluttered, but also not sterile. Totally like that defines my style. And when one of the bonuses when I got that book was this class with some just decorating advice for all 4 seasons, kind of decorating and even, entertaining and some kind of food things. And she's not about buying seasonal decor. She's more like about going outside and bringing some nature in, having different textures. And then, like you can kind of put things away. Like I have these fuzzy off-white pillows that I love, and they don't make sense during the summer, but they look great in the winter. And being able to sort of change those things out, just throw pillow covers because those are easy to store. And kind of changing your color scheme just a little bit because I've got a pretty neutral house. So just things like, throw pillows or table toppers, little things like that can really kind of change up your look. So I want to watch that class to be re-inspired. Okay, I do have an update. The last couple episodes I've talked about for my one simple swap, this oil sprayer that I've loved, but it was glass. And I admitted last time that my husband knocked it over and it broke, but we immediately bought another one. Well, I knocked that one over and it broke. So apparently we cannot have nice things. We cannot have a nice glass bottle oil sprayer in our house. I'm kind of bummed about it. I need to get back on Amazon. We've had the stainless steel ones in the past that you had to kind of pump. I think it's called like a misto or something like that. But I never liked that one. I really liked this non-aerosol one that we had. But yeah, I'm done. I'm done buying the glass oil sprayers. So if you bought one, I hope that it works better for you. Maybe you are a less clumsy family. That is entirely possible. I'm very clumsy. So good luck with that. And I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about for my one simple swap for this episode. We've talked about wool dryer balls. We talked about the oil sprayer. We talked about using cloth napkins. And I'm not sure if we've talked about this before, but I wanted to talk about reusable produce bags because the thin plastic bags, they are so bad for our environment. And as sewists or knitters, which are most of the people who are listening to this podcast, these are super easy to make. So about a year ago, I just went to Joann's and I bought the tool, like the kind of the lightest weight one they had, and I just cut it into a rectangle and sewed up. Usually I fold it in half and just, sewed up 2 sides. And I just keep them in my bags that I bring into Trader Joe's. And I can, I can not use their plastic bags. Now their plastic bags happen to be like compostable. They feel really weird and rubbery. They kind of geek me out. But when you go just to the normal grocery store here, they're just plastic bags that are clogging up our oceans and never gonna decompose. So you just might think about, you can buy these too, and you can buy much nicer ones, but you can make them for next to nothing, and they do not need to be pretty. So you might just consider making some reusable produce bags. As we sort of wrap up here, these podcasts are getting longer and longer because I've really started to ramble, but I wanted to thank a couple people for reviews. Halls Home, HOLS Home. Thank you for your review and for reaching out to me on Instagram. I really appreciate that. And now I'm getting, sometimes I get emails when I get reviews on different country versions of iTunes. So again, I'm so sorry if I haven't thanked you because I haven't seen the reviews, but I did see that there was one from Chook Chick in Australia, and thank you for your review. So I love getting reviews. I love it when you guys reach out and tell me that you also like cleaning videos or you don't like cleaning videos. Patty, you know who you are. That's okay. That's okay. But I really do like, sort of keeping the whole conversation going between, in our community. So thank you for that. And I guess that's it for this week. I hope you have a wonderful time. I hope you are enjoying your transition into fall or into spring, depending on where you are. It's kind of nice as we, start to change out our wardrobe and feel the change of the air. And I hope that you have a great week. I'll see you next time.